Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and yesterday I had a question come up in the Q&As, and I realized once I started answering it in the Q&A, there was no way I could fit it into one of those videos. This really needed to be its own video. And I had someone ask me, hey, you've been talking a lot about training women. I'm trying to train my girlfriend. Are there any fundamental differences between training women versus men in terms of their actual training for fitness and their overall nutrition? Is there any major differences that we need to note? So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, do a little bit of crafting, and let's talk about this. All right. Honestly, 95% of it's the exact same. Men and women are different in terms of muscle fiber distribution, some hormonal differences, but overall, we're not that different in terms of training response, diet, things like that. Not as different as some people would like for us to believe. Number one, as far as training goes, men and women respond the exact same to training. We recover the same. We have similar training response, everything else to resistance training. However, what people need to remember is that pound for pound, women have good distribution of muscle fibers to their lower body, but their upper body, they have on average about half the muscle fibers on the same size frame that a male does in their upper body. Now, those muscle fibers are equally as strong as men. So if a woman gains an ounce of muscle somewhere in her body, right? Any muscle in the body, doesn't matter. Her strength will go up in proportion exactly like a man. We can't tell a difference in muscle fibers in a man versus a woman. Like when they're biopsied and stuff, they look the same, they perform the same. So any given fast or slow twitch fiber in a woman produces the exact same strength and force that a man does if it's the same size. It's the fact that women just have less of them in their upper body, so they're going to develop less overall strength and size in the upper body. Lower body, though, they tend to be proportionate pound for pound in terms of muscle mass and even muscle fiber distribution. The thing is, though, is that women tend to hold more body fat than men. They just do. And a healthy body fat range for women is going to be higher than for men. Men, the healthy body fat range is usually going to be somewhere in like the 10 up to about the 20% or even low 20% range, depending upon our age. For women, the normal healthy range is going to be somewhere from about 19 and 20 at the lowest up to around 30% for females. So that's their healthy range, and a lot of women start to suffer hormonal problems when they go under about 19 or 20% body fat, just like men experience problems when they go under about 10% body fat hormonally. Most men do. There are exceptions. Meaning your sex hormones start to decrease, which can affect sex drive, libido, sexual performance, all sorts of stuff, even muscle mass gains, even body composition negatively. Now, that aside, training response. Women respond the same way to training as men do. They need to train generally the same, and they need to remember their upper bodies are just not going to get as bulky. So a woman who really struggles and works really, really hard to put on 10 pounds of muscle mass, which was probably about the most a woman could expect to get out of her noob gains. Men can get up to about 15 to 20 pounds of total muscle from their noob gains. For a female, it's going to be closer to 10 pounds, and it's going to be disproportionate into her lower body. Her hamstrings, glutes, thighs, things like that. She's going to tend to develop those easier than she is her upper body, given the same amount of muscle. Why? She has less starting muscle fibers to work with in the upper body. Now, as far as the training itself goes, women do have one training imbalance issue that men are less predisposed to, but men are predisposed to it, and it's something I always tell field athletes to work around. Men, I always tell them, even if they're a field athlete, need to spend more time focusing on their posterior chain of their lower body than their anterior chain, because quad dominance can lead to knee injuries on a playing field, running, turning, twisting, jumping, in addition to hamstring injuries. Women are more predisposed to this than men are, meaning women tend to be more anterior chain dominant. Their quads tend to be more powerful than their hamstrings and their glutes in an untrained state. Why? Because of weight distribution due to carrying breasts. That's almost the entire reason for it. Women tend to have dominance due to these reasons. So it seems to be a big factor there. So for females, not just that, because of the way their hips are set and everything too. So for females, and particularly females who wear a lot of heels and things, elevated platforms on the back, they need to spend extra time working their posterior chain, which means, like for a male, like my novice program, for example, I have them do more squats than deadlifts. For a female, I might consider cutting the squats back and adding more deadlifts in. For females, more hamstring work. For a female athlete, I would have them do more glute ham raises than I would a male. Just for those reasons. For simply put, women are going to be, again, slightly quad dominant. And so to eliminate that, the best thing that they can do is to do more hamstring work, more glute work. Well, deadlifts are actually the best way to do that. So I would have a female focus more on the deadlift than the squat. Again, for a number of reasons. Number one, not just to deal with the dominance, but a lot of women complain, and that's the biggest problem I see, is a lot of females who come up with a lot of different butt blasting exercises, different routines, things like that are completely useless. The truth is, most of these females would do considerably better at reaching their goal if they just deadlifted more. A lot of them want that certain toned butt, that round butt, all of that. Deadlifts are going to give them that much faster than any of these butt blasting exercises, and it's posterior chain dominant, so it's going to help correct that balance for them. Now, the other thing that women need to be aware of is that when women start trying to lose weight, sometimes their calories are going to go lower than men. And what people forget, and one of the things I try to remind these athletes and bodybuilders, just because you're a bigger, larger male carrying more muscle mass doesn't mean that you need more vitamins. Doesn't mean that you always need more minerals in your diet. You don't need more vitamin C. You don't need more vitamin E. You don't need more vitamin A than a 130-pound woman does. Well, that means it's really, really easy for guys to get these things, sometimes of barely even eating any vegetables, even when trying to lose weight, if they're very athletic and active, because they burn a lot of calories. Females burn less calories than men because they're generally, number one, lighter body weight. Number two, they have less muscle mass. They have the same nutritional needs, though, in terms of things like vitamins, particularly vitamins, in some cases minerals, because they share similar size organs. All right, a female heart, a female liver, female kidneys, all these various organs that need these substances, these vitamins sometimes, and the brain too. They're all the same size, meaning a 280-pound male athlete may not have a bigger liver, kidneys, brain, spinal cord, things like that, than a 130-pound female or 140-pound female, right? She has very similar nutritional needs for all of those things. So for females, when they start reducing calories down in order to lose body fat and lose body weight, one of the biggest problems they can run into is nutritional deficiency, and vitamins are not the best way to deal with that because they're going to be eating less total food, less total calories. So they are at risk of developing vitamin deficiencies. And we always talk about women being hormonal, men complain about that. Well, when you start messing with stuff like this, you start reducing calories down on a female, and she starts developing any dietary deficiencies, it really will make her hormonal. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean that in the sense of a lot of her body's hormones will start going down. Things that she needs, things that will affect her mood negatively. She's going to become truly hormonal and irritable because she's going to be hungry. She's going to have nutritional deficiencies, which will, over time, start to wreak havoc with her actual hormones. And women, again, seem to be more sensitive to shifts in hormones based upon diet than men are. Men are also, but women, it goes another step further. It's actually oftentimes a larger negative effect. So accordingly, how do women offset this? They need to do more physical activity. And I'm not trying to promote women be cardio bunnies, because I always say weightlifting is first. Weightlifting should always be your primary form of training, for your strength training, for body composition, for all the benefits. However, when it comes to weight loss, because women's calories can sometimes go too low when they're trying to lose like a pound a week, that they need to offset that by doing more cardio. Instead of creating a larger calorie deficit for females, I would rather them do more cardio to burn through more calories. Again, the whole purpose is to remove nutritional deficiencies so that they're not going to be deficient in various vitamins and minerals, essential fatty acids, fat-soluble vitamins, things like that. It allows them to eat more food. If they can burn through an extra 300 or 400 calories a day to create their calorie deficit to lose body fat, if they can do that by adding extra cardio in, particularly just even low-intensity cardio, that will allow them to eat another 300 or 400 calories a day while losing body fat at the same rate. All right, that becomes really important if the goal is to avoid nutritional deficiency, because that's going to allow them to eat a lot more food. And again, it's going to greatly reduce the chances of these nutritional deficiencies developing. So outside of that, though, men and women are pretty much the same. Those are the things I would focus on differently for overall fitness for men versus women. Focusing on not becoming anterior chain dominant, so making sure the glutes and hamstrings and lower back get a lot of extra work. Men already need to do that. All athletes need to do that, but women, again, they tend to be slightly more anterior chain dominant. They tend to develop it easier if you're not careful. So easily avoided, and again, because their overall calories tend to come lower when they're trying to lose weight, using more physical activity instead of reducing calories is probably a better bet for females, just so that they do not start to develop nutritional deficiencies due to their calories becoming too low, because they will suffer certain negatives from this more quickly and more pronounced than men will due to various hormonal responses in the body. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.